What up? How is everybody doing? And welcome to the first. Actually, you know what I should probably be on the make myself a little bit bigger for right now. There we go. Hello. Hi. Welcome to the first Wandering Pilgrim Games stream over here at our new Twitch channel, which is pretty cool. Most of you probably remember or probably know who I am. I am Bad Chili on Twitter, Twitch, and all that fun stuff. Had a bit of an absence over on my channel, but I have since decided. Put this down a little bit. I've decided to make a separate Twitch channel for all my Wandering Pilgrim game stuff. Mostly because this is kind of stuff that I have been spending a lot of time on recently, hence my absence from a lot of Discord servers and Twitch in general. But yeah, so I figured this would be kind of fun to do. So another big thing as well is now it's going to help motivate me to actually get some more stuff done. Because for those of you guys who have not been aware, don't necessarily know who I am, in our chat right now, exclamation point WPG, just kind of explains it. I am one half of Wandering Pilgrim Games, which is a indie TTRPG publisher that my friend and I started together. And as of right now, we've been doing a lot of stuff revolved around specifically 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. And I have a lot of products up on DM's Guild right now, which if you do exclamation point DM's Guild, you can find them all. Yeah, I think they're all pretty cool. Oh, hi, Becca. Hi there. How you doing? Yeah, so we got a lot of things in the work. I kind of actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Let me show you. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about, because we have a lot of stuff that we're working on right now. So I'm pretty sure I'm not giving away any secrets, but also it's not that big of a deal because I don't think it matters. But yeah, so this is my to-do list of stuff. So for instance, we have a couple things. This is the stuff I'm working on. Let me jump to the bigger page. I had to make this because I am so bad with keeping up on things. So for instance, something I'm working on right now is something called For the Family, which is a supplement that includes 4 new subclasses, a bunch of new enemy types, and mechanics for running your own crime family. And the subclasses and enemy types both follow with that theme. This idea kind of came from one of our podcast episodes, which if you're looking for that, exclamation point Wanderer's Rest gives you a link to our website. We can find everything. But yeah, so we were talking about alignment, and the idea was if you were a lawful good paladin and you were in a place where the laws went against your laws, are you still considered lawful? So I brought up the idea of like, oh, it's kind of like the mafia. The mafia has their own laws, they have their own rules, but they don't necessarily follow society's laws. So Tyler, my associate, was like, oh man, so it's kind of like, imagine like a paladin of the mafia. Swing by for a little guy. Yeah, no problem, Becca. I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. But yeah, so the idea was coming up with a paladin who is part of the mafia. Like, it'd be a real shame if I smited you. So, so I had this idea of these different subclasses, all based around people from crime families. So right now, as of right now, I have the 4 subclasses written out. I'm just kind of tweaking them a little bit as I go. I haven't started the enemies yet. I have a new background called the Family Member, which is live right now for our patrons over on Patreon. Exclamation point Patreon if you're curious. And that should, I'm not sure when that's going to be out, so I haven't even bothered with a release date on that yet. Thicker Than Water is a one-shot that I'm working on because there's a bunch of people who are getting together in what's called the New Blood Anthology. It was a project by, his name's Darren. I'm sorry I'm blanking on his last name. But the idea was that all the new contributors and new authors to DM's Guild could get together and they would make a anthology that they put together. Kind of like how Uncaged had their second volume just came out. And I know there's a couple other big anthologies of multiple authors. So mine is going to be in volume 2. I could do one for volume 1, but because I'm saving volume 2. For that one, it's a whole story about the whole New Blood. Volume 1 is like, vampires and actual like blood. And volume 2 is more like blood, like family ties, coming of age. So mine's me in 2. Sin Race Pack is something that Tyler is working on, and he said he's pretty much done. He's just doing some final edits and working on some stuff. That should be out probably within 2 weeks. So we're going to start really marketing up that soon, hopefully. Leave most of that stuff to Tyler. RPG Raiders Workshop. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of what RPG Raiders Workshop is. It's a really cool, I guess, service, really. Through the month of July, there is a whole course, basically, where it walks you through the process of creating stuff, even down to publishing it and marketing it, which I think is awesome. That's the parts that I'm still really worried about, the whole marketing thing and publishing, but whatever. And the last thing on here is Steel Horizons, which is my new TTRPG system, which I am working on, and it's a dieselpunk game. And for those of you who don't know what dieselpunk is, dieselpunk refers to the aesthetic of between World War I and World War II Europe. So it's not, the game will not be set in that time period. It'll just kind of look and feel like it. And the best example I can give you is, let me go grab the book for a second. Hold on. If you've ever played the board game Scythe, Scythe is really good at... Actually, Scythe is kind of what loosely inspired this game. So, for instance, let me show you the art book I have. Let me go to the bigger screen. The World of Scythe. Which all this art is made by this guy, Jacob Brzezowski, who lives over in Poland. Pretty cool dude. I've actually emailed him a few times, because originally my plan was I was going to ask him if he wanted to try to make a specifically Scythe, which Scythe is the board game name. His world is called 1920 Plus. So if you want to make a 1920 Plus role-playing game, and going through with him, he was like, oh, well, what's your experience with Kickstarters and all that stuff? And I kind of told him, like, yeah, we just started. We're looking for a pretty big project to work on. And I think pretty much from there, we both realized, like, he probably wants to stay with something a little more established at first. But I still love the idea. So I took the idea of just dieselpunk, and I'm kind of working from there. So what I'm doing for today is I am trying to world build a little more for Steel Horizons, which is my which is the name of what the system itself will be. So as of right now, I'll just show you the what I have. Let me show you. So the header picture I have is something that he made. Obviously, the bottom I have, covered. It's his claim to ownership. This is the link to his art. Always, always, always credit your art. Always. I'm not kidding. Always. So, this is just kind of the summary of what Steel Horizons is going to be. Hey, Hobgob, what up? So, as of right now, I have a couple things. I have just kind of... None of these articles are filled in yet. These are just the nations that are in this specific area of the world, because this game is going to focus on a continent known as Algara. And Algara is just one continent out of many. And it is sort of a European analog, but it's going to be much different than that. You're obviously going to see similarities, but it's not Europe. It's not Europe. It is my analog of different bits and pieces from different areas of Europe, different areas of the world, even stuff I'm completely making up. So let me just show you the whole map. This is a map that I made in a program called WonderDraft, which is amazing, and I love WonderDraft so much. So this is Algara, just this one area. Obviously, it goes further down this way. It goes a little bit out this way as well. So the main areas that are going to be playable in the game when it comes out, or it's just at least in the lore, there are the Misty Islands, home of the Highland clans, Valka, which is a smaller nation here, Jarlheim to the north, which is like a more snowier nation, Trescana, which is a larger nation, very mechanized, very industrial. Oh, I'm sorry, I should probably mention that in the first place. For those of you guys who don't know what dieselpunk is, besides the aesthetic I told you, the big thing is dieselpunk is about where steampunk is more of these big machines and stuff, and it's very curved, it's very beautiful looking. Dieselpunk's the opposite. Dieselpunk is very angular and it's more about function. So the best thing I can do, I've actually tried to describe this to people recently, that when you think of steampunk is more form over function. So for instance, everything's very intricate. Everything looks beautiful. Like you have a well-crafted, intricate set of designs on whatever you're making. Diesel Punk is I'm gonna slap a metal sheet on this, and as long as it works, I don't care what it looks like. And that's basically the big difference. So Trescana is a very mobilized, very mechanized country. The Tehran Steppe is a nation of nomads who haven't really gotten involved in much political stuff, but they're starting to recently. Orland, the Orland Kingdom, is one of the few remaining actual kingdoms in the world. And then the Angloor Empire is a nation that has really, really been ramping up. So Angloor is kind of similar to what pre-World War I Germany would be. Very, not so much looking for war, but like they're looking to show themselves on the world stage. So this game picks up. Actually, let me just read something to you, because that might make it a little bit easier. The actual description that's on here. I know you guys probably won't be able to read it very much because of the way it's coming up on stream, but the main idea of this is that when this game does pick up, you have just started playing at the end of what was called the Great War. Gee, I wonder why it's called the Great War. Yeah, it's clearly an analog of World War I. I know. So the Great War ends, and the entire continent of Algara is just battered. And the big idea I had is there is this one mineral right here called pyrecium that was discovered years ago that is the power source of the mechs, the tanks, the factories, some weapons. It's the power of everything. So this Great War was fought over trying to control the mining, refining, manufacturing, distribution of this mineral and the power that comes with it. Think of it kind of like Tesla energy in a way. And obviously these nations are all fighting over it. Now, the thing that I changed recently is I had it that the Great War ended because one nation won, whatever. But in talking with my business partner, Tyler, he had a pretty good idea that I eventually went with as well. The idea is that no one won. The Great War ended because everyone was like, millions of people are dying. We're not making any progress. We need to stop this. So because of that, they have then appointed a independent organization that controls every aspect of this mineral. Sort of like the United Nations. And of course, from there, that leads to some cool political intrigue where these nations all have representatives on this, what's called, what did I name it again? I named it the Pyrrhic Attainment Coalition. So they have all members on this coalition, and they're kind of, some of them are obviously trying to like undermine it from within, be like, we want our nation to have more, we want our nation to have more, and so on. But I think that's pretty much a pretty general synopsis of what the feel of this is. So what I'm doing right now is I am attempting to flesh out the world a little more, including writing down stuff for each nation, as well as kind of adding more articles. I definitely want to, let's do this, because I definitely want to write more about the actual coalition, because the coalition, I think, is a pretty important part of the world, given that that's more or less where most of the conflict does come from. All right, also, give me 1 second, because for some reason, hold on. You're going to have to excuse me, too, because there's going to be a lot of times that I, oh, oops, that's why. There's going to be a lot of times that I, just stop talking randomly or get completely scatterbrained, so I'm going to apologize. Hey, look, there's me! Ha! I'm going to apologize in general. Or in advance, I should say. All right, so, as of right now, if we go to our articles, go to our article list. Don't worry about these, because originally, I'm sorry, I'm doing this again, I'm sidetracking. Originally, the idea for this was I was going to base everything off of the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons system, but recently I've realized that what I'm going for just does not fit in 5th edition. 5th edition limits it a lot, because 5th edition is very much based around magic. Obviously, it's a very magic-heavy game. Steel Horizons doesn't have magic. They have tech that can sort of be looked at kind of like magic, but I really don't want this to be... like, there's no magic, and I don't want people thinking like you're going to cast these spells. And, like, I came up with something that kind of did it, where they would have this pyrrhic energy from the pyrecium that was refined into these cores, and they'd use the cores to do things, and like it was cool, but I'm like I'm so far from what I originally wanted that I scrapped the whole thing. And what I'm doing right now is I'm basing it so far off of this system, which is Degenesis. Degenesis Rebirth is a system made by a German company, Six More Vodka. Amazing name, by the way. It's a really cool game. I haven't had the chance to actually play it yet because no one else knows what it is, and it bothers me. It's such a good game. And the whole promise of that game is that it's the world, like, decades later. This asteroid crashed into the Earth, and, like, there's spores everywhere. It's sort of a grim, dark sci-fi. Oh, my God, so cool. It's really good. But anyway, neither here nor there. That is the system as of right now that I'm kind of looking to stay with. But for right now, today, I'm just focusing on specifically just the game lore, just the background, the world building. So the things that I have ready so far, the one article I've had the most work on is actually the Pyric energy itself, and that's the one I wanted to make sure I had the most of, because this energy, this mineral, is the cornerstone of every conflict within this game, because everyone's trying to gain control of it due to the fact that it does power so many things. It powers your mechanized suits, it powers your weapons, it powers your factories, it powers your transportation. It is the lifeblood of Steel Horizons. That's why I wanted to make sure I got this done first. So basically, Algara, before the discovery of Algara, was basically going through its own industrial revolution, and had Pyresium not been discovered, the world of Algara would have been a very similar place to what Victorian era England was, and it would have probably been on its way towards what we consider steampunk, because it would have had a lot of coal, wood power, a really dirty, pollution-filled world. However, a Anglorian scientist, so someone from the Anglorian Empire named Hildebrand Graf, she set out to find new energy sources, because I felt like that's a pretty realistic thing to want to do in a world that's being choked by pollution. So she goes to Orland, which is a smaller kingdom, and in Orland she finds this vein of Pyresium. She eventually, once they figure out what it is, they realize that it's in a lot of other places throughout the world. It's one of those things like it was down further than they thought to even look. So they find this mineral, which like this local the local area had been saying that it's kind of been producing larger foods than normal. Some animals are being mildly mutated, which of course leads to our enemies that you can face in the game. But yeah, so that's the main idea at least. And from there, they refined it. They did a lot of science. They did a lot of science on it. That's what I was literally about to say. They did a lot of research on it. And from there, they figured out what this material actually was, and they figured out a way to refine it down to its raw form. And from there, that's sort of where it's kind of an analog to like Tesla energy, because Tesla was right and Edison's a dick. I said it. Okay, Team Tesla. So, because of using Pyresium and refining it down into Pyric energy, now it is such a massive power source. And then from here, Pyresium is controlled entirely by the Pyric Attainment Coalition, or they just call it the PAC. And then utility obviously is all this stuff, that what it's used for. I can get rid of this because that's not a thing anymore. Originally, the idea I had was that there was going to be a specific class, going back to the mechanics side of it. There was going to be a class called the Slinger. And what the Slinger did was they used the cores of energy to basically cast what I was considering my version of spells. But again, I'm not doing that anymore, so I'm getting rid of that part. But what I want to do for right now is I want to at least work on the Pyric Attainment Coalition. And kind of go about what they are. So we have the type. Again, I'm using World Anvil, which is a great service, and it's amazing in terms of world building. It keeps everything in one consistent space. Because before World Anvil, I had probably like 1 billion notebooks that were just full of just random things that made no sense, because I'd world build 17 different worlds in the same notebook, and they'd all get mixed mashed together. So it was a whole thing. So for this, we want to talk about what the Pyrrhic Attainment Council is, which it is obviously a business, but I'm trying to think about whether or not it wants to be something more than that, because it technically would be a business, but it's more of like more of a United Nations kind of thing, where it's just controlling one major aspect of the world. But I do feel like at least that probably is the I guess I could go with government. It's a governmental department or governmental ministry. That kind of does make sense as well. I think I'm just going to leave it as a business consortium, because I think in terms of what I'm thinking about for the pack, that's more or less what it is. Flag or crest, we'll work on that later. Mogan or Slotto. Motto or slogan, 2 words to a sentence that defines the organization commonly found on its crest. So let's think. What exactly would the Pyrrhic Attainment Coalition's motto be? Because it is a business. I'm trying to think of something like, we work for you or something like that. Let's think. If anybody in the chat has a suggestion for this stuff, please, by all means. All right, let me do a little real world business slogan ideas. That's fine. All right. What are some real world businesses and taglines? So let's do this. So we got 27 companies with catchy slogans. Catchy logans. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Okay. So we got shave time, shave money. Ooh. Okay. So I don't know what Pitney Bowes is, but there's this we power transactions that drive commerce. I kind of like that, of just something like, we power the world. I think that's perfect, actually. It's simple too. Just, we power the world. Beautiful. Okay. Organization structure, public agenda, assets, history, founding date. Okay. So the current year of Steel Horizons is 1734. And we're picking up after the Great War ended. So we'll say they were formed at the beginning of the Great War. So we'll say the Great War ended 5 years ago. So we'll say 1729. They've not been disbanded. Leader, we need to make a leader. We'll worry about that later. Okay, so organization structure. So let's go back to my Google Sheet, because I love my Google Sheets. Okay, so we need the organization structure, and then we need the public agenda, which public agenda is pretty obvious. They are in control of, right? So public agenda, motivation for this, make promise. Yeah, okay. Let's do agenda first, because the agenda is probably the easiest. The agenda of the Pyrrhic Attainment Coalition is a simple one. Formed as a means to end the Great War. The pack serves the nations of Algara by controlling. So I want to say something about, like, they want to control it equally. Serves the nations of the pack is made up of, I got an idea. Is made up of representatives from all nations of Algara. Their duty is known by all. They are responsible for the mining, refining, manufacturing, and distribution of all materials and looking for a word here, because they're responsible for distributing things that are powered by pyrecium, but also raw pyrecium in and of itself. Of all materials and forms of pyric energy. Beautiful. Okay. All right. I really feel like that's probably simple enough. I can't imagine it being much. That's their agenda. That's really it. So I think that's probably fine the way it is. Organization structure. Now, what I'm going to do for organization structure, I'll leave that for later because there's a really great thing I used to use that I'm totally blanking on. Is it world building, maybe? I'll have to check with Will. So, no, a friend of mine, shit. There's a, damn it. There's a website or a program or something where you can make, like, I'll show you what I mean. So, for real quick, we're gonna go to my D&D world, and I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, this is my D&D world. I need to go to Rise of Legends, my other campaign. There we go. Iona Sacrament. So, Will, a friend of mine who's in the game, and this was the order of his paladins. It's this. I'm completely blanking on what this app was called or what this program was called, and that's what we used to make these like flowcharts of like who's in charge of what. And I really want to do this as well for the pack too. So I'm gonna leave this once I figure out. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. I'm jumping from thing to thing, but I'm going to also let me just send him a message real quick. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So send him that message, and then we'll go from there. All right. So let's go back to... Cool. Go back to this. So we'll copy and paste this over as their public agenda. Oh, excuse me. So we'll do organization structure later on. Their assets. Okay, so assets is pretty easy as well. Assets. As they are in complete control of the trade of pyric energy, the council controls all manner of the means of production. Throughout the continent, they control the massive quarries and mines that produce the raw pyrecium. Actually, you know what? Yeah, after receiving, I can never spell this right on the first or third or second try. Here we go. After receiving the raw materials, like, I wish I could tell you that, like, I just can't spell when I'm streaming or people are watching, but now I can never spell ever. It's terrible. So I really apologize for people who are getting annoyed by my spelling mistakes. All right, so after receiving the raw materials, they are sent to coalition. Oh God, what's the word? I'm thinking of like coalition approved or coalition, like the factories that are specifically approved by the coalition, but it's not. I'm not looking for the word approved. There's a specific word for it. Sanctioned. There it is. Coalition sanctioned factories. Within these factories, the pyrecium is refined down into an energy source that is used to that is then housed in portable cores or shipped directly up. So I'm trying to say is that when they refine it down into the energy source, it's either put in these little cores that are sent out for whatever use, like batteries, or it's directly put into I don't want to say products, but damn it, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's put into other things, I guess. I'm really fucking blanking. Refined down energy source that is then housed in portable cores or implanted directly into various machines. We'll say various machines. That's probably better. To be delivered. Nah, we'll say it's into various machines. As they are in... Nope, I already said as they are in. Being in control of the means of production puts the council in a very advantageous position. They were created to serve and I almost said protect, not protect. Serve and aid the continent of Algara, but they find themselves holding more power than even the nations themselves. All right, I think that's good. Yeah, so obviously, I don't know if you guys can tell what I'm going for right now, but the idea is that the Pirate Containment Council started out as like, you're going to serve us, you're going to make sure everyone's cooperating, you're going to make sure everyone's on the same team. Like, you kind of listen to us. But eventually, obviously, having controlled all the means of productions for this mineral that has become the lifeblood of the world, you would realize very quickly that they have all the power, not the nations. So that's kind of a big... that's also a pretty big... let me save this real quick. Pretty big source of conflict. All right, let me see what this looks like so far. I was like looking as I update it. All right, so we got public agenda and assets. Hold on. Who's texting me? Oh God. Oh, Saffron's followed me. I didn't even see that. Thank you. Oh, I also wrote something too. Let me add this. Hold on, guys. I just realized something. It's been a while since I've streamed, so I had to recreate all the scenes and all the sources, and I realized that I forgot my fucking alert box on these two things. All right. No matter. Also, I'm gonna turn the music up just a little bit. Turn up for you guys too. All right. So that's the Pirate Containment Coalition for that part. Now I could also write their history down in the history section, but I kind of feel like I want to do it up here. Because the way World Anvil is set up is that this area here, the vignette, is I guess most people use this as like a shorter little description. I like putting all the information there up front, and then this stuff is just kind of adding on to it. Geopolitical organization, power structure system. Okay, this is specifically for... Yeah, we don't need this stuff. Because this is, yeah, this is for if it was an actual government, which we'll get back to that later on. Alright, so... Cool, okay, let's work on history. History. Assets is done. Alright, history. Okay, let's just do little bullet points first. So things we want to include. Formed at the end of the Great War in 1729. Formed at the... Alright, so we have when. How about where? Where was it formed? So let's look at that map again. So let's decide... So these are all the nations. So who would have been the one to tell people, like, listen, this is not going well, we need to meet, and we need to come, like, have a conference of sorts. Like, who would have a conference where this would have been formed at? Alright. Anglor, maybe. Tronstedt, they're not even involved. They showed up later. Jarlheim and Valka, probably not. Treskana, definitely not. They would have never dared make it known that they were trying to end the war. Alright, son of a bitch. Hold on, my fucking second monitor just turned off. I really hate this thing sometimes. Have I ever said that before? I know I've said it many times on my other streams. Just give me a second. Let's try hitting it a few times. That usually works. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. Alright, let's go back to live again. It's a little bigger. Alright, so I think it's probably going to be either Angler or Orland who would call the... Let's go with Orland, because I feel like Orland would probably be the one that they're in the fucking middle of everything. So like, listen, like, we're enough of this shit. Alright, so... Where's my thing? There we go. Formed at the Tolan... at the Tolan Treaties. Well, it'll be called the Tolan Treaty. At the Tolan Summit. Alright, this fucking bottle. Okay, hold on a second. Give me a second, guys. Hey, there we go. Fixed it. Alright. That always fucking annoys me, so I apologize. Put this back over here. Go away. Go away, Discord. Stay on your own monitor. That's where you belong. Alright, formed at the Tolan Summit, known as the Tolan Treaty, which states, PAC will be in control of all, production of Pyrecium. Cool. Okay. Cool. Okay. So we got that so far. What else? What else would be a part of their history? I think that's probably it. It's pretty simple because they've only been created what, 5 years ago? Yeah, because the current year in Algara is 1734, so they're only created 5 years ago. So their history's not really that deep. So I think that's probably a good way to say it. Yeah. So created 5 years ago at the end of the Great War. The Pyrrhic Attainment Coalition. Began as an idea at the Toland Summit. Based in the city of Toland. The Toland Summit was a gathering of the leaders of Algaran nations to discuss the heavy toll the Great War was incurring on their respective lands. Having realized that no nation would ever be happy knowing another had control over the critical resources, the critical resource of Parisium. Someday I'll learn to spell, but it is not this day. So having realized that no nation would ever be happy knowing another nation had control of the resource, without a compromise, the Great War would continue on and millions more would perish. Alright, so what I want to do now is I want to have a name for some person who put forth the idea. So who's the guy who put forth the idea? Because he's going to be the one that's going to be put in charge of the council, like the head of the council. So we already know that the Orland Kingdom are the ones that called this summit together. So I'm trying to think of who else would be the who would be the one that would say, "Listen, this is what we can do." Go back to the map. So which nation would have someone who would say, "Let's have an independent organization," and then what was that person's name? So chat, I don't know if you feel like contributing or feel like having a little bit of audience participation, but if you've got an idea, let me know. Because right now, I'm sort of leaning on Volca. So I feel like Volca is probably a smaller nation, so they would have been thinking of a way to get out of this from the beginning. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna go with Volca. So let's go down here for a second. So, what the fuck? Why is that blue down there? That was weird. Volca delegate. What's their name? What's their name? You know what we're gonna do? Flip a coin. I didn't mean to do it right now. Okay. Heads, it's a guy. Tails, it's a woman. Heads. Okay, so it's a guy. So we'll say it's a guy. So male. He's from Volca. So Volca is... I kind of based the naming conventions of Volca around the Baltic states, like Lithuania, actually, I know Lithuania because I'm Lithuanian, but Why am I blanking on Latvia? That's another one. What's the third? What's the third Baltic state? Estonia. Okay. Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. Baltic names. Ooh, Lithuanian names. Yeah, we'll use Lithuanian names. Because that's where I'm from. Or my family's from, at least, I should say. I'm not from Lithuania. I would like to visit, though. I heard it's really nice. Okay. Okay, you want to scroll there, buddy? There we go. Okay. Oh, my God. Okay, we're leaving this website. Good Lord. Baltic names. Behind the name. Oh, here we go. Sweet. All right, so we'll go masculine for right now. Okay. Here's what we'll do. Roll D26. We'll figure out what letter his first name starts with. Roll D26. And roll. 22. So what is the 22nd? Fuck, what is the 22nd letter of the alphabet? Fuck! V. Okay. So fucking stupid. Alright, more options. Can I go... Yeah, initial letter is... Wait, 26, 25, 24, 23, 20, 22. V. Search. Okay. Wilhelms. Vladimir's. I guess they had S's at the end of them. Okay. Yeah, they all have S's at the end. Huh. Valdis. Valdis is pretty cool. Valdas. Containing the Greek Baltic element walled, which means rule. Interesting. Visvaldis. Vincus. Vicentus. Wilhelms. Victors. Kind of like Valdis. Vildis and Valdis. I'm going with Valdis. Valdis sounds cool. I like it. Valdis. Alright, now we have a Lithuanian first name. So let's do an Estonian last name. We'll do it. All right, we'll do it again. Roll D26. So we got 20. All right, we're not doing 22 again. 19. Fuck, what is the 19th letter? God damn it. S. Okay. Oh my god. S. There we go. Search. All right. So we have Valdis, meaning German brow, meaning Grove Ridge, Grove Valley, Grove Beach, Groves. Oh, that's cool. Maybe that could be like where he's from. There's a lot of S names. All right, so I want also to make sure it's something that I can pronounce and not butcher it too. But I like these because they mean like areas of land. So I like that. Swamp forest, swamp folks. All right, so I do like the idea that his last name comes from, like, where he's from. Island meadow, island stream, ash tree, island grove. Meaning grove, so that's something. Salu. Is that how you say it? Salu? It means grove. Valdis Salu. I like that. But name means grove. So that'll be where he's from. Cool. I like it. Okay. It was a Vulcan delegate who first proposed the idea of an independent organization to control the contested mineral so others would not fight for it. Valdez Salou Valdez's idea was, I'll say many were skeptical of Valdez's idea at first, given they had the question of who would control this independent organization. Through many negotiations and debates. Why? I cannot spell at all. Through many negotiations and debates, the idea. So I want to say something about the idea. So, like, the idea to give control to represent. Through many negotiations and debates, it was decided that each nation would send one member to lead this organization on its council. There we go. Therefore, when the summit concluded, the Tolan Treaty was signed. Right? That's what I called it? The Tolan Treaty? Yeah. The Tolan Treaty was signed, and the Pyrrhic Attainment Bureau, not Bureau, it used to be Bureau, Coalition was formed. Since the closing days of the Great War and the signing of the treaty, the pack. No, so we'll keep spelling it out. The Pyrrhic Attainment. I almost keep saying Bureau. Coalition has grown exponentially and has offices and bureaus within each nation to keep an eye on all shipments, factories, and any what's the word I'm looking for? And any notions of foul play from those who wish to control them. Okay, cool. I like this now. All right. So this is, I just realized this kind of accidentally. I'm kind of now setting up, the pack to be sort of villainous a little bit. Not that they are. They're good. I mean, obviously they're keeping the world out of war. But I'm kind of setting up now where there's going to be a conflict where bandits or even some nations are hiring people to try to steal shipments of this energy to kind of gather their resources. So now the coalition has to have their own private security to make sure this stuff stays under their control, and I really like that. Beautiful cut and paste. All right, and then we save it. All right, I think that's we power the world. I love it. All right, I'll come up with a flag for them or something, or some sort of I almost said sigil, some sort of symbol. All right, I think that's actually pretty good for right now. Oh, I could have submitted this for a summer camp thing, but neither one of them fit. Do I have a country? Yeah, I don't have a country. It's not a country. It's a business. It's a business. Although I can submit something for if I do a different country, which I could do that. I could do that next. Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good start. I mean, obviously, I would like to add more to it eventually, but I think in terms of what I'm going for, this is a pretty. It's enough to understand what it is. And I think that's good. I like it. Okay. All right, so we'll keep that part. Get rid of this. Get rid of that too. Oh, we can get rid of this too. Okay. We can get rid of that too. Because that's from when I originally wanted to make the Pyric cores like some sort of spellcasting thing, but we're not doing that anymore, so that's fine. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. You know, we've been streaming for an hour. I'm actually gonna cut it here. I'm gonna keep these streams probably a little bit shorter, just for the time being, unless we really get going on something. But I mean, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Really appreciate it. So as of right now, we've completed the entry on the Pyric Attainment Coalition. We'll probably have another stream pretty soon, continuing this world building. Maybe even doing some stuff with the products we're working on, whether it's our upcoming supplement for the family or anything else. So I am gonna show a couple things. So for instance, right now in our chat, if you want, you can do the exclamation point. I'll type them. So there's WPG, which obviously gives a little bit about who we are. There's our website, which is wanderingpilgrimgames.squarespace.com. Right? That is correct, is it not? Yes. Okay. wanderingpilgrimgames.squarespace.com, which has a lot of different features about what we're doing, has links to our podcast, has links to our merchandise, has links to our products on DM's Guild. You can also do exclamation point DM's Guild, which that is a little link to our products that are currently up on DM's Guild, or you can just search for Wandering Pilgrim Games under the author search on DM's Guild, and you'll find all of our stuff there as well. And the other big last thing is if you are so inclined, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the handle of @WanPilGames, WANPIL Games. And the last, actually, sorry, this is the last thing. I'm an idiot. I apologize. Is if you are interested in Steel Horizons or any stuff that any of the stuff that we work on, you can support us on Patreon, which is patreon.com/OnePillGames. And we have a lot of stuff on there. We have our podcast is sent there a few days earlier than the general public. We have updates on our different products, including our current module that's out against Tyler the Pirate King, which let me show you that real quick. So this is our current module that's out. It's 50 pages long, 3 chapters of a main story, 2 appendices, which include the stat blocks of the enemies, as well as a very short snippet of rules for fighting and sailing ships, which the rest of them can be found in Ghost of Saltmarsh. So this page right here Why does it keep doing that? So this page here, this is the product. So for instance, when this was in development, I was giving a lot of updates and a lot of sneak peeks to our patrons, and it's something you kind of get when you decide to support us. Also on Patreon, does it work if I click on it? It never works. I don't know why. There we go. So on our Patreon as well, you know, we have a lot of different things. We have 2 goals so far. We have our $50 goal, which is if we hit $50, we can commission a smaller piece of art, probably black and white, and then $100 a month we would be able to get a colored piece of art, which would always help for our products as well. Because as of right now, I've been using the DM's Guild resource stock art, which is good. I can only use it on DM's Guild though. So when I eventually do make things like Steel Horizons or stuff for other games, it's a little bit harder. I have to commission the art, and I have to basically have all the art made from scratch, which is fine. Just gotta make sure you have good art, basically. But that's pretty much it. I really appreciate you guys all hanging out and stopping by, and as always, keep wandering.